on this computer. And all right, Monique, thank you for joining us. We're going to explore a bit more what you want us to do for you. And can you repeat a bit about, can you introduce us to your nonprofit and what you do first?
Okay. The name of the nonprofit is Naam House. Actually, we were partnered with the Disabled American Veterans. That's the organization that I'm a part of. But we kind of took them under the wing because there's a need to house homeless vets. A lot of the reasons veterans are homeless has to do with trauma or mental illness. So what we did was we decided to have I guess a reintegration type of a residential program for them to get them back on their feet and okay with dealing with the organized chaos is what we call it of society. So that's what Nam House does. It's people who, it's like an intervention for a homeless crisis that is definitely going to get worse as the veterans come home from Iraq and Afghanistan.
Can you give us more details on when you created the nonprofit and
Okay.
yep.
Yes, we actually became a nonprofit about 4 months ago. Before that, this is something that we've been doing, I guess you could say, under the radar since 2014. It's now a legitimate nonprofit, and we have 3 houses now, 2 in Queens, 1 in Staten Island, and we're hoping to get 1 in the Albany area. We do a lot of outreach to let people know who we are. We have like a basic website set up because none of us are that tech savvy. um, we do giveaways on weekends. We go out to the homeless community. I'd say for the last 3 weeks now, and we give out blankets and coats. It doesn't matter if they're a veteran or not. We can't see somebody and say, oh, you can't have it because you're not a vet. But our goal is to get veterans in a better place than where we found them.
Got it. Do you want to share anything about yourself, why you wanted to create this? Your
Yes.
colleagues maybe as well.
The reason for this is because I realized that there was a need. I was a workaholic, I guess you could say. After my time in service, I work nonstop. My nickname was the machine. And then I had to have surgery on my Achilles tendon due to, it was a service connection. And I couldn't work because I couldn't walk. And I found myself having nightmares, not being able to sleep, reliving trauma that I went through. And I didn't have time to do all that when I worked like crazy. I told my primary care doctor, she referred me to a few places and got me some help. I was diagnosed with PTSD. And then I would come across other veterans in the same situation. And there's a need, there's a great need. There are veterans living in the woods because they can't deal with the day-to-day because it's not regimented like it was when we were in the military. It's like I said, it's organized chaos, So there was a need for that. And then Lois, who is actually the founder of Nam House, Lois Lachelle, had the same thing. She had a traumatic brain injury. She was living in fear of herself. And then her brother came home from service, same thing. So they started it in their own home. And now we've branched out. So yeah.
Wow,
This is
wonderful.
how we became who we are.
Yeah, this is a very, I mean, sad but also beautiful story, I guess. So thank you for sharing that so openly. And I don't know if anyone here has a specific question before we dive into your challenge and we try to see how we can help you more specifically.
Okay.
Anyone? Any question? Don't hesitate. Well, Monique, how can we support you for the best since you're relatively new as a nonprofit. There's probably a lot we
Right.
can do. What's the most
Yeah.
priority,
Can I
most
have
important
one
priority?
second?
Yes,
Lois
absolutely.
Lachelle just sent me a text and said she wanted to get in on the Zoom. I have to resend the link to her.
Aha.
Okay, just so
Yep.
she can come in. So just give me a minute. I'm not going to disconnect. I don't think it'll disconnect. I just want to tell her where it is.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Okay. Yep, I can still hear you, so we're good.
Mhm.
Forward. Uh,
So we're gonna try to build something accessible for solving,
yes,
physical and real life accessibility issues. So it's both digitally and physically accessibility.
yes. Right now, we're trying to get people to notice who we are. We're trying to get out there. We've gone to um, conventions for hospitality section because they donate supplies, so we're just, everything we do is legwork. Everything we do is legwork. Like I said, we're not, Lois knows what we need exactly because that's what she does. And she's about to come in uh, on the call. So I guess you could say the salesperson as far as getting stuff out there. But as far as what we need and where we are right now, she would be better to talk to. Okay, sent it to email.
Sounds good. Yeah, yeah. And what we shared so far with the teams was still a draft, and we understand that you your needs are changing, and just by talking to the teams here, by through their questions and what they can do, you can also
Right,
reprioritize as we go. So
right.
you have the
Well, I
position
also know
of a client kind of, and they're gonna try to
exactly.
do what they can for you based on their
Mhm.
capacities, and yeah, yeah.
I know one thing we would like is most veterans, well, most homeless people don't have cell phones. Is that you, hon?
That is, hi, hi.
Hi.
Thanks for
Can
allowing me in.
can you see
Hi.
her?
Yeah, we can see you when you speak. So, Lola, nice to meet you. I
Okay.
think you're Lola. I'm Hugo. I'm
Lois, her name's Lois Lachelle.
Oh, okay, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It's easy to get.
It says Lola here, that's why. And so, well, I'm Hugo from S Team, co-organizer of this Equalithon with Mary, who can't join today. We Mary is a veteran spouse, by the way, and that's how we could connect. We wanted to do something for accessibility because it's Accessibility Day on December 3, and so we took that as an opportunity to do something in December for accessibility purposes. And we're joined here by many students from boot camps and more experienced developers as well, and mentors want to support the cause as well. So I think because accessibility touches so many people in the world, we are all here together to build something for you, to impact, and to enable you to fly further with your nonprofit and support more people. So yeah, please go on and let us know more about your challenge, what you want to build.
That's to me. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lois Lachelle Mickens, and I am the founder and CEO of Naam House Initiative, Inc. We are a veteran residential service program that supplies individualized service and care to chronically ill, male, disabled, able-bodied veterans. In that, this multi-pronged approach that we utilize supplies direction and education with coordinated care services and advocacy in order to aid the veteran in successful acclimation. We know the story all too well. Our veterans are here on the streets, and this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. We have over 40,000 veterans that are homeless. 160,000 veterans right now are receiving care through the VA system for chronic illness. Chronic illnesses are invisible. That which you don't see, you can't address, and many don't address. And because they're not addressed or unchecked, they lead to homelessness, unemployment, incarceration, and ultimately suicide. NAM House is there to, we're here to eliminate that from being the case. So thank you for hearing me. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to address.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Anyone a question at this point?
Um, I have a question. So I noticed that you guys have a website already, and there's an application for an individual that is homeless to apply and potentially be accepted. What is the goal for y'all currently, since there is already a space for an individual to have an applying in y'all to potentially assist them? Are y'all, and yeah, I guess that was my question. What was like an MVP for y'all?
Okay, I did not hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's not, it's, I don't know, it's just kind of choppy.
can you repeat?
Can you
Yeah.
still hear me?
Yeah, it sounds like there's an echo or something coming from somewhere.
Let me try to see if I can fix it.
Okay, let's try it again. Sean Mickens, you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, you can take this question though.
No
Go
problem.
ahead.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Yes, much better.
Okay, good. So my question was as I see y'all have already a website that that veterans are able to do a preliminary application to potentially receive assistance. With that being said, what I'm trying to understand what is it that the goal for NAM House? Is it to create a mobile app for veterans to apply and make it more easily accessible to them, or just figure out a way to market y'all NAM House in a much profound way so that veterans are aware of y'all's presence?
Lois, I'm gonna take this question. I'm gonna take this question. Okay, the reason why I spoke about maybe an app is to broaden it. Like I was about to say earlier, most homeless veterans, true homeless veterans, probably won't have a cell phone. Okay, but we do have a lot of veterans incarcerated because of police activity. If they had a PTSD meltdown, we need this so that the police officer, other city people can access this app. So when these vets are processed, that they can tell them where to go, because they are not going to know. That's why we do need marketing. We do need for all veterans to have access, but we also need for the city and other organizations to be able to contact us if they have a veteran that may need our help. And if you need to add, Lois Michelle, please do.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I hope that answer satisfied your question. NAM House, we are not, our virtual presence is limited to our webpage and our Instagram site. And I'll just piggyback off of what my commander stated, that yes, we would benefit from other organizations having the ability to apply for the veteran when they're in their care or in their cross area. We would be able to pick them up from there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Just a question. Before even thinking of an application or anything, the main service that that we're building here, should it be to find the house? Is that right?
No, we secure the houses. If a person is interested in having NAM House rent their home to turn it into these services, that's absolutely, that's much encouraged in things, but this is more so that veterans can find our services, so that organizations can refer veterans to us and allow them to see who we are. I think that would be the primary purpose of an app.
Got it. And who um who is typically your audience of the people who would use this app?
Well, what I
Department of
had it,
Homeless Services would be
okay.
one. Department of Homeless Services, Department of Veteran Homeless Services, one with the state, one with the city. Um, Veteran care organizations that take applications for processing of food pantries, HRA, which is Human Resources Administration. I'm probably throwing out a lot of acronyms for city agencies. The Department of Homeless Services, which is DHS. These organizations that run across veterans or are in interaction with homeless persons and discover that they're veterans, to include the out processing from correctional facilities. Those organizations would also have access to us through your designed app, which would better enable the veteran to have access to us.
And the way the veteran, I'm still going on because this is slightly different from what I had understood before. So we're not in the case of someone that is in the street anymore that wants to have a
Yes, we
direction to the
are.
house.
Uh,
Are we?
yeah, yeah.
I got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so Lois, basically they wanted an app for somebody to be able to find us, and that's great. But again, there's most veterans don't look for help that way. They usually end up
It's word of mouth.
in police custody or going someplace else. Now, the thing with the city agencies is the backlog is unbelievable. That's why these people are in the street. A lot of them, not all of them, a lot of them. But we just need for them to know who and where we are. Let's say, for instance, there's an organization called Black Veterans of Social Justice. They have an apartment complex for homeless veterans. They tend to get full, or a veteran can't walk up the stairs for whatever reason that they can't help, then they have access to Nam House. A veteran, we had a veteran get arrested because he was sleeping outside and he became hostile because he was being harassed. The police officer took him in, found out he was a vet, and told him, I'm not going to process you, go to the VA and get help. Some of them hate the VA. They won't even consider it. So they need us and these other agencies in order to get help. The difference between Nam House and, let's say, Black Vets of Social Justice or one of the other agencies, Department of Veteran Services, is we have a nurse who can give out meds, we have counselors, and we have a home environment, not a clinical environment. Everybody needs to know that. And we do need for the veterans in the street to know that they have options. That's important. They need to know that they have options. And they see the house, or they talk to somebody from the house and they see it's not what they think. They run away from the institutionalized setting. They won't at all.
Uh, so
I like to add a little to that. As a disabled veteran myself, I can enlighten you to the fact that institutions do not work. They absolutely fail because of their too big to fail methodology. When you have facilities that house not only persons that are chronically ill, but people who have substance abuse, people who are suffering with other issues outside of military prior service personnel, veterans are not inclined to ask for help.
Right.
We don't seek help in the same fashion, and we are less inclined to report that we are veterans when we are in distress. When those matters come up, and this is how Nam House was even developed. Our idea and how we approach services are greatly different than how these other services approach it. If you are able to sleep on the couch at a friend's house, you're not considered homeless and therefore won't receive housing in some of these other programs. The other programs, again, are too large to fail. Quality is their primary focus. Quantity is their primary focus. Quality of care is our primary focus. We want to ensure that the veteran on a one-on-one basis receives the thorough care that they need, identification of the chronic illness that they're suffering from, or illness at all. Developing strategic plans and crisis intervention plans. These are things that have to be worked out on a one-on-one basis. You can't put 20 veterans in a room and listen to each one and develop a overall plan and approach and expect for that to help and work. You can't give a veteran a voucher and just say, here, go and find an apartment and you're on your own. There's a process to this. And Naam House has that process, and we understand the need for the individualized approach. So Naam House is separate in terms of that. And yes, we do approach the homeless, the veteran that is on the street. But as Monique informed you, 90% of the time, these veterans are picked up either by the police for ticketing, for loitering, or from being expelled from someplace and having a reaction to being expelled from that place. So that's where we are able to reach them, if not for going on the street and picking them up off the street. Sorry.
Right. So we would love for an app to be available to these agencies, these police officers that are out there on the street with these vets. You know, it's crazy. I too am a disabled vet, and I was sitting at a bus stop and the bus pulled in front. The rear of the bus was in front of me and the exhaust hit me. And the exhaust smells a lot like the smell you get after you fire a weapon. My MOS, my job was missiles. I was Tomahawk missile person, and that smell took me back. I had a flashback sitting at a bus stop. So can you imagine the chaos to people who go through trauma and they have a flashback and the police are hauling them in?
So
That's
I have a
more
question.
trauma.
So hearing all these examples, and I guess understanding, and I'm hearing a lot of accessibility, and the accessibility is for partners. And we use the example as police officers. Those police officers that attained a veteran, what would be their objective using either in this mobile app or website that's going to be created? Is their objective to just sign them up to y'all, and then y'all figure out what's the next process? Or is it just, here, go to Naam House and you take care of yourself? Like, because that's kind of the example that you gave just a little while ago, like the police officer arrested someone and they just said, go to the VA. And that person just said, I'm not going there.
Right. They're not going there because it's the VA.
So
if they wanted help from the VA, they would have gone. But basically go ahead, Lois.
Leo, is it Leo? Is there a name correctly? Rito. Rito, apologies.
Yes.
Rito, I would state that no, yes to the officer having the app and being able to sign the veteran up and show the veteran what services we offer and how we differ from the VA, and that they would benefit more from contacting us and allowing us to advocate on their behalf and get them housing and the help that they need. So it would be more than just to say, hey, there's a program called Naam House. Look, here's the app. Go to this app. Knowing that the veteran may likely not do that, being able to sit with them for a few, and it wouldn't be a long period of time. It would be, here we have your name, we have because the officer would have better ability to get the date of birth of the veteran, the fact that the person is a veteran, what branch they served in, which will allow us to facilitate the next steps. We would be able to find out what level of care the veteran has ever received, or any diagnosis, if they've ever been diagnosed, and if they're in the veteran system at all. So the officer would be instrumental in the role of exchange and would be able to pass the vet off to us to further the care.
And with that passing off, and would that passing off would be like y'all would meet the veteran, or the veteran would be still kind of either probably transported to y'all?
Um,
as
we would likely reach out to the veteran. I just came from Syracuse to where I went, where a vet was told, I was told that a veteran was in the street and had a bad reaction. They were triggered and they were in the street and it was snowing and the people were concerned, but no one could calm the veteran. I went to the veteran. So in cases where there are extreme circumstances and we can't wait, or we can't have the veteran sent somewhere else in the interim, I get to the veteran. We will get to the veteran.
So just a question. So would you want like the police or the officer or whoever is in contact with the veteran that's signing them up to Naam House, would they be contacting you guys like as well as signing up the veteran? So that then you could get in contact with the veteran, or how would that exactly work?
Well, Chas, it depends totally on what the condition is of the veteran and where we're receiving the referral from. If the referral is coming from an emergency resource such as the PD, we would work diligently to try to satisfy housing that person just until we are able to complete a true assessment. That would be an immediate situation. It would be an emergency. If it is a person coming from the DHS who is already in a housing situation, a temporary housing situation, we will work to coordinate services to get them into Naam House.
So would you want that to be like a part of the app, like a capability of the app to be able to like differentiate between how urgent the situation is and stuff like that?
That would be very beneficial, Chas. Thank you.
And I think also the ability for the application to come directly to the website would be great as well, because other than that, if we don't get a phone call, or email, or a text, it would be best if we're online all the time. And you check it, like I have another company where if somebody goes on the website and fills out an application, I get an email letting me know there's an application there. Something like that would be great if it could happen. That way we're always in the loop and nobody slips through the cracks.
I have a question for the usability and the impact of this application. If we're building an application for you and you have 2 houses or 3 houses, is it going to be credible for police officers and people working for the MTA or the city or whatever to download these applications, and they could know the houses around just by communicating with them? So does it make sense to have only you there, or would it be possible to open this application to other nonprofits or shelters that are similar to you, that are nonprofits, but that are not, VA or not official, for instance? I don't know. So that there's more choice,
Variety.
more variety, yeah. So you could host them, you could invite them to join your application.
Oh, okay. So then we would be able to vet them, because that's also very important to the Naam House name. Naam House, we understand the need for quality care. Again, that's our staple. So I think it would be a great idea to open it up to have variety and selection. However, when you don't know precisely what an organization is capable of supplying, I don't think that just having a bunch of a grouping of pull down or scroll down names of venues that aren't in common, other than the fact that we service veterans, I don't think that would be beneficial. So just having a commonality that we service veterans isn't enough. It has to be more in detail as to how we service veterans and the quality of care. Programs like the Tracker, which tells veterans what organization services them better, which organization has the better services, or the more personable one-on-one care, or easily contacted, something to that fashion that the veterans already, not so much chronically ill veterans, because they don't typically have a phone to get in contact with. And when you're triggered, your first thought isn't to go to a phone and look up an app. But for programs that are looking for places to refer veterans, I think an app would be great that allows them to have a directory at hand. And I think that's more of where you were going with it. But it should have also a criteria for each location if you were going to do something of that nature. Am I right in saying that, Monique?
Yeah, you are. Just so we understand, there are a few, sorry, my dog, somebody's at the door. There are a few agencies that we would love to bring into the fold. Not all. The reason I say the police department, because we got homeless veterans sleeping on the trains, and that's who they come in contact with on the day, and they do arrest them for falling asleep on the train. They're being with GAV, we're all over the state. I am all over the state. I'm a Department of New York commander, so homelessness is my platform. So I am aware of the small places who help veterans. I am aware of the places who give personal care to families and women. I am aware of the other organizations who have the same goal, but because of what's out there for treatment and care, it's very small. It's very limited as to where they can go. So let's say, for instance, Stony Brook Hospital has a great program for veterans who are sick or elderly, and they can bring their spouse. But nobody knows that in the 5 boroughs. You see? You see? So, there's just to have everybody on board is one thing. I think we should have just a select few on board, because then we can better control the outcomes.
Okay, so this could be a pilot that you then are able to show to authorities to scale, I think. Because what we build for you is going to be useful for you. It's not going to be not going to be downloaded by 5,000 officers, I think, unless you can show that pilot. And you can explain to them, okay, this is going to be working for us, but if it worked with 25 other organizations, then all the police officers in New York City and around, they could have that, and then it's just one application. That's one way it could really scale. So we want to have most impact, right? We can have an impact for you, but if it's not visible, if the people who have to download the application do not understand that it's going to be useful for them every time they meet someone in the street, they're not going to download it, because then if they have to be 3 blocks away from your houses so that the application is really useful, they're not going to be incentivized to download it. Do you understand what I mean?
No, I get what you mean.
I like to comment on that. Away from where our physical location is at won't work even in any event. Our locations would not be, placed in syndication. We don't want to broadcast exactly where we are. And who's to say that that veteran will be going to that specific location? That location may be at its full capacity, and we may be having to place the veteran in another location or another facility. So them knowing where exactly our houses are located is not something that we are interested in broadcasting. We will denote where that veteran will receive services and where they would be best suited. There are other circumstances that come into play when determining the location of placement.
With, I guess,
The thing
with
about
that
this
kind of
is,
sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead. My question was aside from the housing, what other services do y'all provide? Because the way that that in my mind, I'm thinking of it is sounds like a booking system to allow for veterans to help them out, to like help them connect with y'all. If whoever comes into encounter with that veteran, might have just be me walking down the street, and I noticed that this veteran, this homeless individual, or however they're defined, and I've come to find out that they're veterans, and I decide that, like, you know what, how about I figure out how to assist them. I come into your website, namhouse.com. There's a preliminary survey that I potentially ask that homeless individual, and however they answer that, in that survey directs that to you to figure out how is it that you can assist them. So now then my question would still be related towards, let's say that I found that individual, how is that individual going to get a hold of you if that individual does not have accessibility to a cell phone?
Oh, that's an excellent question. So you would place where that veteran currently is, and we would deploy. And again, these are the situations. So if it is a vital situation where the veteran is in an emergency or crisis state, meaning they are on the street, that's a crisis state. You would put the geographical location, and you would ask the veteran, where do you go when you're not here? Where's the other location that you go? And they will tell you, well, I'm in Tent City under the bridge, under the FDR out by Yankee Stadium. You would put that information into the webpage. That's where we would head in the evening in order to locate that veteran. Hey, we got a ping on the app that this is where you're located. Or we would let them know, hey, we're looking for Juan, or we're looking for Ralphie. Is that the name that he goes by? He would tell you that because your app would ask specifically if a company like Naam House is looking for you, how would they find you? They would go to this location. Who would they ask for? Then we would go, we would ask, we would find that veteran, we would find out the details, right? Because there's more information that we would need to acquire in order to be able to better help that veteran. So, hey, have you been to the VA? You know, and I went to the VA. They can't help with nothing. They don't help with anything. Oh, okay. When was the last time you went to the VA? Do you remember? Yeah, it was last week. The odds are, because we lose track of time when triggered. It's very, and there should be a way to assess if the veteran is in a triggered state. Are they speaking rapidly? Are they agitated? And there should be also a warning, because you don't want to confront a veteran who is in an agitated state and a crisis that may be having a schizophrenic episode. So yeah, there's some things that you need to absolutely place in that and some type of warning or approach method for people who are seeking to help, or just to put, located vet at this particular location, spotted vet at this particular location, sees vet here often. Veteran is, and put a description or take a picture and put that into a sort of a file for that person. And then we receive that ping and we know where to go, what we're looking for. We have an image, so we look for the veteran with that image, and then we approach them with our trained skill of approach, and we gather the information that's necessary in order to help get that veteran off the street. Every veteran does not want to be out. That's also something that needs to be placed there. Every veteran is not looking to be housed or looking for assistance. That is the state that they prefer to be in that moment. So that's also important to know.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess us having open dialogue, a lot of things come to mind, and things to potentially kind of how to navigate this topics.
I mean, there's so many different issues that come up when you deal with chronic illness, when you deal with veterans in general. And I'm sorry, am I still here? Okay, I'm sorry. And just understanding, I'm sorry that I'm not more prepared with exactly what would work. I have no idea about app uh, creation. So I can just tell you what our needs are. We really would like to know the location of where the veteran was spotted. We'd like to know the condition that the veteran is in. Are they irate? Are they calm? Are they sleeping? Are they pacing? Things of that nature. And an image. It would be nice to have an image, because when you know what you're looking for, when we go into these crisis states, it better prepares us for handling it. What I love is pings. If you can ping, and my daughter does it all, and she drops a ping and it tells me exactly where to go, I can navigate through the phone. I can press it and it'll get me right to where that location is. Everyone's eye is not the same. So what you may visualize and what may actually be the case may be two different things. So how to assess a situation, that would be a vital addition to an app. How to see or understand what you're seeing in the veteran is also important. Most vets you can spot, they have a cap that has the campaign that they were in. It'll be a either an embroidered this depiction of the pin, the campaign pin. So you have Vietnam War, you have Gulf War, you'll have Operation Iraqi Freedom, and to that effect. That's an identifier. If you don't know if they're a veteran, that they're just, this is a homeless person located at this location, that is also important information, because we would hate to approach a person and ask them if they're a veteran and make them feel bad because they're not a veteran. You understand? So that's something to consider. If the veteran says to you they're not interested in housing, that they're just looking for a meal, right? You wouldn't want to just refer them to us, because they already said to you, I don't want to go into any place. I don't want to deal with people. I want to be here in this state. And that's something that you have to consider. Some veterans do not want the assistance. They want to be where they are in that moment. And when they're ready, just knowing a name or being given a card, they'll contact us when they're ready.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure,
I was firstly wondering, you mentioned a while ago that there were some organizations that are also working in a similar space to y'all, that are doing things that you really appreciate, that you like the way they're doing things. I was wondering if you might be able to provide us with a list of some of those, so we could also see how they're handling some stuff, just to get a better sense of, I'm not from New York, I don't know the situation there. So just to get a better sense of, how, like, what is a good approach to these sort of things, so that we might know how to sort of develop an app like this, to know, like you were talking about, like wanting to know what condition they're in right now, their location, that sort of thing, and sort of what services that can be provided for them. So if we could get a list of some of those other orgs, just any of them, I think that'd be really helpful. And then I guess the other thing would be, in situations where someone might not know if they're vet or not, like sort of what we were just talking about, is there, I guess, like, how would that work for you guys currently if someone does say, oh, I see that there's a homeless person here, and they won't be able to determine if they're a vet unless they really have a dialogue with them. So is that something that you're able to maybe go to that person and refer them to someone else, or is it, I'm just wondering how that process currently sort of works.
Right. Let's speak about it. We have been phoned about a veteran that was in a particular area, and we had only one description. Well, two. He was Black and he had dreads. So we went to this location at night when we were told that this is when he usually lurks the area, from 7 o'clock until 2 o'clock in the morning. We drove up and down this particular strip. We sat and we waited. When we finally noticed the person, we waited until the person came closer to where the vehicle was, and we observed drugs, transference of drugs, which completely eliminated him from being accepted into our program. However, we were able to communicate to the PD that this individual is a veteran and may be in need of care at some point. When you approach this individual, please provide this information to the officers that frequent that location or are charged with surveilling that location. So yeah, we're able to help. We just need to know where and what it is we're looking for. I don't advise, and I'm sorry, I don't personally advise anyone who is not within an agency or law enforcement to walk up and approach a veteran under any circumstances. It may be offensive to that person. You don't know the state, but you can log, right? And that's why I said that it would be beneficial to the app if it was a way that you can take a picture, or even like iPhones have an app where you can hold the photo for a longer period of time, and it picks up, a snippet of what's going on. So you may be able to record an irate outburst. All right, and then it gives us, it satisfies everything, right? And then a location where this was observed, how frequently this is observed, and then we can go out and we can process the situation, and we can send those that are more equipped to deal with persons that have medical issues.
Okay.
To that effect.
So sort of what I'm hearing is if it were like an everyday user like myself or something, that would be more of like, here's logging some information. But as far as someone referring them to a service or providing them, that would be something that's handled more by some professional service, like a police officer or something that would handle that part of the process.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Because unless you're in human services, how do you absolutely know how to refer a person? You don't know what it is exactly their needs are. So how would you know what organization to contact? Oh, this has a food. They deal with food. Yeah, we provide meals to our residents, right? So if you reach out to us and say, oh, this veteran needs food, I wouldn't be the primary program that you would supply information to.
Right. We do have veteran food pantries and so on and so forth. Even what we're beginning to do is we're beginning to serve hot meals when we go out and give away socks and blankets. But also what I was saying, in the event that the police get there before a Naam House representative, because we had the location, we know what precinct or what hospital to go to in order to better assess the situation. As far as the police go, all the police don't have to download the app on their personal phones. They get telephones now. They get cell phones where they can go out and do stuff, and that can just be a part of the app for the city. Now, also working with the Department of Veteran Services, we have services that they don't have. So they would also refer these veterans to us, and it's a city agency. So the more people who have this particular app, the better. We don't want them going to an agency that can't help them. Like you can, again, the apartments and the shelters for veterans are walk-up buildings. The apartments don't have a nurse on site. They don't have a therapist on site. So that's not the place for some of these vets. It's best that they come to us, and then we can outsource the resources if we need to. But we need for the city and all the other agencies to know who we are and what options they have.
Clark, did we satisfactorily answer?
Yes, yeah, that definitely answered it for me. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, I was just
Come on,
posing.
guys, don't be shy.
Yeah, I'm just posing to see if there's any other question. I think we made a lot of progress compared to the initial discussions we had, so it's going to another direction. We need to rewrite the challenge. So I'll just maybe remove from the website what we have currently, so it doesn't give false directions, and I'm gonna make this available for other people to see. And then if you want to have further discussions as you go, I'm sure you're gonna research and find maybe other apps that do the same or similar things or not, and any kinds of things that you find during your research phase or design phase, you want to evolve this discussion, you can still chat on Slack. So Monique, if you can, or um, Lola, I'm
L.
sorry.
L.
You can join our Slack, and I will add you to these teams Slack channels. I'll explain it to you later. Um, as soon as today, if possible, so that it's fresh for them and they have more questions, maybe. But then maybe over the weekend, they might have questions. You might answer to them early next week or something like that. They're gonna have what, until the end of next weekend to work on that, on something that's functional. So some teams have designers and developers. Some teams only have designers who might want to work on no code solution, meaning a tool that enables them to code without knowing how to. And some teams might just give you some designs instead of a functioning solution. So we'll see what they can come up with. But generally, the goal is to have at least one or two functional features available. Everything that we were saying is probably too vast. It does take a lot of time to build this. Something very cool would be to find a solution that already exists, and you just have to plug into that solution and maybe tweak it, because that's always easier. But we'll see what they can come up with. And I'm going to add you to the channels. You can answer their questions and go on from there.
Much appreciation, and thank you all for your hard work. We so appreciate you, and the veterans that you don't see that will be serviced, they appreciate your efforts as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much for doing what you do. Have a
Yes,
great
thanks, Hugo. Thank you a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. See you soon. I will post that as soon as I can on the Slack channel, and let you know more. Bye. Have a great evening.
Okay,
too.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good one. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you.